all of us, Gary Radcliffe has the opportunity to evaluate his mentee this morning. Well, let's see who's learned well. Please welcome Gary evaluating Rich Lamb on his Project 6 speech vocal variety.
Rich. Yes, sir. This is going to be fun. I would definitely say you have a predilection for travel. I think you've told me about some of your travels before, you and I, and you guys seem to love to travel. And a little background history in case you didn't know this, Rich and I are both from the same state. And I've lived in well, I lived in the Bay Area before. You were in San Jose and I was up a little bit further north. But anyway, I digress. Your speech. Notice I was quiet, everyone looked. When you came up, you went right into it. I think it was a good opening the way you started, but a pause would definitely have focused us from putting food in our mouth or looking at our cell phones, which we obviously don't do, or some of the other things that we do, but I think that would have made your opening just a little bit better. I think one of the best parts of your speech was the humor. I mean, that was a very good speech contest speech, if you get my drift. The humor was great. You had us all laughing. You had us all engaged in you. I think you did an outstanding job. The facial expressions when you were playing your dad, I mean, I loved it. One thing you may want to incorporate is when you're playing your dad, and I don't speak, is it Vietnamese?
Yeah.
I don't speak a word of Vietnamese, but when you can say, hey Dad, this is Rich, then you can maybe come over here and anchor Dad over here, and that way we can kind of get the play there on the two different characters there. You didn't use notes that I noticed. I know you had them up here. Outstanding. I remember the first speech you had them and you didn't really use them a whole lot then, so I think you've progressed, and I didn't even really notice you looking down to check your notes. One thing I did notice is that I thought you were a little bit nervous at one point. We all get nervous when we get up here initially. We get the butterflies, but no one knows you're nervous other than yourself. But when you were holding the phone, I noticed it shaking a little bit, maybe relax a little bit. The other thing I noticed is you tend to use your hands quite a bit. Maybe back off on some of that hand use and use them at more appropriate times, and that way they don't get in the way of the speech. You definitely had an opening, a body, and a conclusion. It went well. I've talked about the hand movements. When you first started out, I noticed your vocal rate was a little bit quick, but then you settled into a pace, and the speech went well the rest of the time up there. The only other thing, as I said a little bit earlier, add some of the silence, even during your speech. If you just stop for a moment, everyone's going to look at you. It's like, why is it so quiet here? But overall, like I said, I think it was a great humorous speech for a speech contest, which is coming up in a few weeks. I think you would do well. Speak to Adele. She'll help you get registered for that. And we look forward to your next speeches and more of hearing about your dad and your travels. Thank you very much.